Hello and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast. So, if you'd listened to last week, you were maybe expecting another episode on sober free living. Sober free living? Alcohol free living. Sober free living would be like, yeah, a completely different vibe. Um, but yeah, so my podcast guest had a little slight change in circumstances and had some things going on. So unfortunately, she was unable to record this week, but I felt really, really guided to record a podcast. I had shared a post last week on social media with regards to really managing our energy and managing our vibration. And I got some comments off of the back of this post, which was really quite interesting. And some people wanting just like a bit more support and insight as to what some of the things mean. So the post was about things that build your vibration up and things that deplete your vibration. Now, this particular podcast is on one of these specific areas of depletion, which was overscheduling. And I discussed in my sober podcast, what makes me feel free is white space. And I had a Facebook comment from someone saying, I don't really understand what this means. And also two other people saying that they really struggle with overscheduling. So I thought I would come in, share a little bit here about how to support yourself with that, touch on some of these vibrational elements that can really help lift your vibration, shift your frequency, allow you to feel more energized, and have a little quick run through of the things that deplete. So when we're looking at building up our vibration, some of the things I've mentioned here were like spending time in nature, hanging out with high vibe friends and people, practicing gratitude, moving your body, listening to high vibe music, using essential oils, practicing meditation and mindfulness, and eating high vibe foods. Now, a lot of these, like all of these things actually, in fact, are free, right? Everything that is mentioned here is free. Some of the things that deplete your vibration, one of the things I mentioned was alcohol. So it's kind of a nice lead on from that. And when you listen to the podcast episodes, you'll recognize that from my experience, Susan's experience, Stuart's experience of living alcohol free, that her mental health and her vibration has changed quite dramatically. So things that deplete our vibration: toxic conversation and gossip, junk food, ignoring your emotions, negative self-talk, overscheduling, which is what we're going to chat a bit about here, alcohol, lack of sleep, and treating others disrespectfully. So what I love about all of these things is, like, I speak about your vibration a lot, and obviously I teach the practice of gratitude in Soul Sanctuary and with my coaching clients. I speak about the use of essential oils. I practice meditation and mindfulness as a mindfulness teacher, and also within our Soul Sanctuary space. Ignoring your emotions is a vibration depleter, and we teach that within Soul Sanctuary as well, about how to support our emotions. Now, the reason I'm like kind of touching in Soul Sanctuary here as well, I'll drop this in very, very briefly, is that our doors are closing to Soul Sanctuary at the end of June. So you will be listening to this, if you listen to this when it first comes out, before the end of June. So you still have a chance to join us before we close the doors and just spend some like soul nourishing time with our community, develop the space a bit more before we reopen them, probably maybe in about 3 or 4 months. So it's a great time to come and join us. This is a space where we work on all these vibration building activities, things to support our mental health, our emotional health, our spiritual health, our daily practices that set us up to thrive within our lives. Okay, and actually, it ties in quite nicely with overscheduling as well, because one of the other practices we use in Soul Sanctuary is daily intention setting. And through that practice, you will get greater clarity, can't really speak, greater clarity, and you will, feel a lot better with regards to, where you're focusing your time, where you're focusing your energy. You'll have the awareness of overscheduling before it gets too much. Okay, overscheduling and white space. So in my first book, Be Free, if you're watching on YouTube, oops, here it is. I share a chapter, and it is chapter, let me just see what number it is, chapter 3, called So What? Saying No and Creating Boundaries. Now, in this chapter, I actually share a process so that you can really tune in and see what's going on, okay? With regards to diary management. Now, when it comes to overscheduling, what I would suggest is if you find that you're overscheduling, you probably aren't scheduling, right? You probably aren't scheduling. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and you've given yourself too many tasks, and there's not actually enough hours in the day to accomplish those tasks. So I would suggest paring it right back. So in this chapter, there is an exercise 4 about having a look at your diary. Now, this could be a paper diary, or this could be a Google Calendar. I actually use both, and I've got a daily planning sheet, which I'm a way to show you. Don't think there's anything confidential on this one. No, there is not. Hopefully you can kind of see. So you can get this daily planner sheet from my website, and I'll pop the link in the show notes below. But basically, every hour is accounted for there from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Now, what I would suggest you do to begin to understand yourself is to write what you're doing every single hour. Not try and change anything, but just write down what you're doing from the moment you wake up. So maybe you wake up, maybe you have a shower, maybe you join Soul Sanctuary, do your spiritual practices, then you maybe head into work, you have lunch, you maybe finish work, go for a coffee with a friend, or come home, walk your dog, feed your kids, go food shopping, like write every single thing down. Because what I've seen time and time again with clients is that actually it's not physically possible to do everything that you think you're going to achieve, right? So when we begin to look at that, and this is quite a good one here because it's a Monday and my Mondays are pretty full. And yeah, it like most of that is work on there, which shows me that that's not balanced. Like my Mondays aren't balanced, and that's something that I need to look at and address so that I am showing up as my best version of myself with my clients, and I'm not working from like 6:30 in the morning until 8:30 at night, right? I don't like suggest that that's great. I did go for a forest walk that Monday before I started teaching again at night, but ultimately that's not really going to be for my highest good. So spend some time mapping out your days, log in all the hours, seeing what you're up to. And then what I would suggest you do is you get your diary. Do I have my diary here? I certainly do. Again, I'll try and find a page that there's nothing too confidential on. Okay, I'll just go to kind of blankish page. Yeah, okay. So as you'll see, if you're watching on YouTube, my diary shows like a week to view, and I can see there's loads of white space in that diary, right? There's loads of white space, which means my heart is happy, my soul feels free. And that gives me room. So should things arise, like, you know, maybe you've forgotten, like our dog has to go to the vet tomorrow, for example, or, you know, whatever other things arise, that you can have space for those, right? You're not feeling totally overwhelmed. Now, let me see if I can find a different page with more in it. So when we are, it's not really going to work because my camera's blurred, but you know, when you open your diary, how do you feel? When you look at it, and look at it like a week to view or the month to view on a calendar, and think, how does that make me feel? Are there gaps? Do you have a whole day of freedom to yourself, right? Not many people give themselves that. I do a lot, but that is because I have experienced burnout and anxiety and depression many times. And, you know, I'm learning that lesson now that slow living is the ultimate. Spaciousness is the ultimate. So if I wake up in the morning and I've got space, I'm like, what do I want to do today? Do I want to go for a walk in the woods? Do I want to go to the beach? Do I want to just like sit in my pajamas or potter about at home? What do I want to do? I love that spaciousness. Our lives are so busy, so organized, often feeling quite, out of control and overwhelming. So start by logging everything, write everything down you're doing. Then have a look at your diaries and how your day actually looks. And then from there, you need to start making some decisions. So thinking about back to that things that deplete me and things that like raise your vibration. How can you remove the things that deplete you as best you can or give as little time to those? And how can you do more of the things that energize you, that allow you to thrive, putting in things there. And we need to plan these things like a night in, like put in having a bath, right? Put in journaling, put in going for a massage or Reiki healing, training, catching up with friends, cooking healthy meals, maybe batch cooking. Schedule these things into your diary, right? Start with the things that you are really, really going to support you and schedule those in. Yes, you will have things that are totally essential, like, if you have like a 9 to 5 job, for example, or, you're going to have these set hours that you have to be working. But those other times, what are you doing? What are you doing in that times? Are you scrolling social media, which is absolutely fine as well? Assign a time for it, right? Do it consciously, do it with awareness. Sometimes I do that just to, like, if I've had a really like full on supportive day around loads and loads of people, and I just need to like numb out. Like I know I'm doing it consciously. I'm consciously doing it to numb out. I'll go in and then I'm like, meh, yeah, I'm off of that, right? I'll go to bed or read a book if I feel like up for that or whatever. So begin to then you decide. So I have an ideal calendar that's set up. Got it here beside me, which is color coded. And I color code it. The pink stuff is work. The other stuff is other things. So the green is like things I do for myself, like my Pilates, like taking breaks, lunches, horse riding, those kinds of things. I have time for my writing, time for studying. I schedule all these things in that are important to me. And I built this ideal calendar around it. Now, does that happen? Probably 99% of the time. No, but I'm consciously aware of what I do want to happen. So I feel more in control, and it gives me just that ballpark thing. So just having a little look at my book here. Yeah, using an electronic calendar, color code it. That's what I've exactly just spoken about. Rescheduling. If you feel overwhelmed, right? So the people that have said that they feel really, really depleted, they're overscheduling, you need to learn to say no, right? You need to stop people pleasing, and that is not easy. Again, I cover this in my book, Be Free, but and I'm sure there's probably podcasts that I have recorded on this very subject. But just really tune in to what your needs are. In fact, let's do it together, right? Let's do a little practice together. So if you're not driving, put one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. Allow your eyes just to drop closed. Take a nice big deep breath in through your nose. Slow exhale out through the mouth. And just sit here for a moment, just taking a few breaths. Maybe just thinking, I'm breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And I'm just going to ask you some questions, and I want you just to see what arises. Mentally, what do you need right now? Emotionally, what do you need right now? Physically, what do you need right now? What do you need in this moment? Taking a nice big deep breath in, slow exhale out, wriggling those fingers, blinking those eyes open, coming back. So hopefully some things came through for you there with regards to what you need. And I want you to tune in with that every week when you're looking at your diary. If you're looking at it on a Sunday, I suggest you do that. Like look before the week arrives, so you're not there on Monday morning like, oh shit, my week is crazy. How am I going to manage this? Look at it the week before. Is there stuff you can reschedule? Is there stuff that even doesn't need to happen? How can you add more self-nourishing things if you are overwhelmed? But start thinking about that people-pleasing version of you that wants to just say yes to everything and get really clear what is for your highest good, what is going to nourish your soul, what are you feeling truly aligned in your heart to do, and you're going to have to begin to take action on the other things, which I know isn't easy. So yeah, so start by getting a piece of paper or my daily planner sheet from the website and just making a note, maybe for a few days, maybe for a week, what you're up to every single hour, just writing it down, paying attention, right? Because we need to shower, we need to sleep, we need to eat, we need to poo, right? There's all these things that take up time in our life. And if we're not scheduling time for like the basic core things, how are we going to manage to do all the other things, right? It's a physical incapable, like impossibility. So do that, write it all out, see the areas where maybe things are like, okay, I'm not kind of coping in that area. And this isn't a bad thing. Awareness is key. And once you have awareness, you can begin to take action on this. So then you're going to want to have a look at your diary for the week, have a little look at that and the month, see what you've got coming up, and try and gift yourself some white space. So white space is that clear space in your diary. Could be an hour here and there, could be a whole day. For me, I need like minimum half day or whole day, like a week, like minimum for me to show up as the best version of myself. So it's not saying that you don't do anything in that time, but it's your free time. You decide what you do in that time. You might want to study, you might want to work, right? But ultimately, you decide in that white space what you need to do in that moment. It just gives you that freedom that if stuff bleeds over, you have a bit of time and you don't feel so overwhelmed. So I really hope that that supports you. If you've got any questions on this, please do reach out. As I mentioned, you can download my daily planner for free from my website, and you don't need to put in your email address or anything. It's simply just head to the resources page and there's some awesome things there you can download for free. I am going to be running my 3 days to self course. So if you do struggle to tune in with yourself and check in with your needs, this is a free course that I am running. Again, you can do this at home yourself, or I am going to be running it live in June. I will pop the sign up link for that here, or just simply message me, reach out. 3 days to self is a process to support you if you are feeling burnt out, disconnected, just to really guide you home. So I would love for you to join me for that. If that speaks to you, then yeah, reach out and the link will be below. And I will look forward to catching up with you next week in the beautiful Be Free podcast. Bye.